We apologize for this brief interruption in the show. As many of you likely know, the Higher Standard podcast is officially sponsored by TRANSCEND Company. TRANSCEND has been my longtime provider for both testosterone and peptide therapies, but they offer so much more. Whether you're interested in health, wellness, or longevity, it all begins with you getting your blood work done. A lab draw will help you get the numbers and establish your baseline. You can go to transcendcompany.com/THSP. That's transcendcompany.com/THSP. Or you can click the link in the show notes on any streaming platform and on YouTube. Fill out your information, and one of the representatives will contact you to get your journey started today. Now back to the show.
Everybody
Venmo?
was there paying cash.
Bro, when you walk up to these vendors, you always have to take Zelle or Venmo?
No, there was like 3 dudes in front of me. They all paid cash, and I don't want to be that fucking gringo who rolls in and does the whole thing.
What do you mean?
Huh? Like, it's insulting. Like, I
What is
want to respect the culture.
Is gringo acceptable? I don't know. Is that
No,
okay?
it's a pretty common
I
term.
just want to make sure. Do we
we
flag
need
it?
to
Do
bleep it?
we bleep it? Or do we tell the editor to bleep it?
No. What did
6
you
seconds
do? You
into the
changed,
episode.
Oh,
changed
all
the
right. We don't want
highlights,
to. Yeah, it's all good.
Broke our server already.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Today we have another great episode for you. If you want to become rich, if you want to become wealthy, there are financial goals you and your family need to hit, and you should aim to hit.
That was a hard
There you
intro.
go.
That was hard.
That was
Yeah,
good.
that was
It was
good.
hard. Yeah, went hard in the paint.
Yeah, that
Dang, he's
was-
getting better at this.
I know, really? That's
It was a lob. There was a lob, and then there was a
It
finish.
was a big pivot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's going to get rich, brother.
Yeah, teach you how to get rich. All right, we're gonna talk about some. I think there's 6 financial goals. Though there's definitely more that you could aim to hit, but these are 6 that you should absolutely aim to hit. The first one that we're gonna talk about, and if you've been a long time listener of the show, you know these won't sound so foreign to you. But we're just gonna list them all out here for you. First, build an emergency fund.
Yeah. My very first thing I did when I got my big boy job was I looked to build an emergency fund. And it's funny because your emergency fund is not as static as you might think that it is. When you start working, you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to have 6 months in reserve for any expenses that I have. And you think to yourself, okay, that's perfect because if I get laid off or I lose my job and I have to look for another job or something happens to me from a health perspective, I got 6 months of income covered in savings, right? And that 6 months will pay all of my bills. I should be able to find a job in that time. But then you start living life and you start taking on more expensive toys. You start having more responsibilities. And then that 6 months that you had saved winds up only being about 2 months. And then you got to save 6 months more. It's a much more fluid process than people think about. And what I tell most people is you should start off in the very beginning with an emergency fund that's tantamount to 6 months of your spending.
Yeah.
So it covers your rent or mortgage payment, your car payment, all of your, credit card payments if you have any.
Utilities.
Yeah, all your utilities. You should have 6 months saved in an account. That should be priority 1.
Right. That should be priority number 1. Now, I know hearing that for a lot of people who maybe don't have that right now.
Sounds really ambitious.
It sounds ambitious and sounds really overwhelming. What I recommend is starting off with a smaller amount, okay? Set mini goals, if you will, right? Start off thinking about, let me just save up enough that covers one paycheck.
Or pay off your debt first,
I mean, that's definitely something.
If you're
you
paying
should
off your debt, your credit card debt, that means there's less money you have to set aside in your reserve account because you don't have to pay those credit card bills.
Well, that would be jumping on to number 2. Thank you for reading ahead.
I'm out
But
here.
you're out here. But setting mini goals for yourself will establish good habits for you, right? It'll build the process, and you'll understand how you budget, your finances on a month-to-month basis. It'll allow for flexibility, right? Everyone always sets out a plan, and sometimes the plan doesn't go according to plan. No pun intended.
That sounded very punny.
Yeah, it was very funny, right?
It's like an Indian guy saying funny.
And then lastly, it's gonna build a lot of confidence, right? If you're able to achieve these small wins. Okay, you set off to save up 1 paycheck. That 1 paycheck, you set off to save 2 paychecks. Next thing you know, you're looking at, I want to save up 3 months worth of expenses. And like Chris says, you got to allow for a little bit of flexibility where it might come down some month because of an emergency, right? And then you just got to replenish it.
You know the hard part is if you're not single, you're married, you got kids, you got responsibilities, and you don't have this and you want to do it, dude, it's so hard. Like, I get it. If you're like, let's just say in your 30s
Mm-hmm.
and you're married, you got 2 kids, childcare in and of itself is hyper expensive.
It's getting wild out here.
You can't, starter homes in a lot of states are $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
and you're going like, okay, this is overwhelming. I know so many dads that I talk to on just like an incremental basis throughout like the week. I talk to them about just life. You can sense that they're thinking cognitively about what they spend on all the time.
Yeah, I'm actually seeing a lot of content about this too, right? A lot of content on dad stuff and what dads are constantly thinking.
You want to
about.
know why you are, buddy?
Oh no, I told you.
Your algorithm caters
follow-
to you being the world's greatest
I
dad.
follow a lot of dad pages, right? And so that is the case. And to your point earlier that it gets harder as you grow your family and your family continues to grow. Your kids, the after school activity stuff, man, it never ends. There's always something that they want to do with their friends, and you got to sign them up
until they don't want to be with you anymore. Until they don't want you part of their life because you're embarrassing. Yeah, it's probably around 14, 15.
Right. Exactly. But this also this segment of it really like lends to the fact that we always talk about. Why do we always talk about the Fed? Right? We talk about the Fed because of it predicts where the market's going to go. And if you know what's going on with the Fed and what they're going to be doing with the rate cuts, you know that with the Fed funds rate being what it is, right? I'm trying to tie everything that we always talk about back to these topics. It all kind of like meshes together, right?
We take a small departure here from the normal cadence. One of my neighbors, Nick, listens to the show. Nick's a great dude.
Nick?
Yeah, big fan.
Shout out to Nick.
His son and my son play together. His wife, Carrie, lovely. And he made a comment to my wife the other day, which made his way back to me. Sorry, Nick. That he was sarcastically saying, "Are they ever going to say something positive about the economy on the show?"
About the economy, yeah.
And the fact of the matter is I feel the same way.
Mm.
I really do feel like there's been a lot of negativity in the news. We've talked about this on prior shows where we've said, look, there's just not a lot that's positive in the economy right now to really say, hey, you should look forward to this. So what Saied and I are doing is we're trying to make a conscious pivot to really focus on why these things are important, even if the news might be negative. But with that being said, there's a lot of things that we're going to talk about, even in this show, which are really, really positive trends and things that are going to be good for you financially, personally, and for the people around you.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to wrap up that segment, we always talk about the Fed, and you should know what's going on with the Fed because you can be able to predict the future. Had you been following along, you know that what does the Fed funds rate mean? It is the borrowing cost for banks,
Yep.
right? And banks operate on a net interest margin.
Yep.
So, and because of that net interest margin, the high yield savings accounts have been where they've been at, right?
Yeah.
So if you were looking to build your emergency fund over the course of the last year and a half, you got a little bit of help because you had these high yield, savings accounts that were offering you upwards of like 5%, and still some that you might still find, but that's going to be going away sometime soon. But it's not slowly. So you still can capitalize on it, and it can help you build your emergency fund.
Little fun fact when you think about your savings account, and this might shock a lot of people. Just because you got a high yield savings account at 5% right now doesn't mean that you're going to get in your face clear disclosure when they cut that rate down on you without you knowing.
Oh, interesting.
So when the Fed cuts rates, you can expect to see a lot of banks, including the GSIBs or the GSIBs if you want to be fancy. These globally systematic important banks have a lot of accounts, and a lot of people got high yield savings from them. They're not as high as the community regional banks, so think about it in the 4 to 5% range, right? Well, if the Fed cuts rates, you're going to see them drop probably by the same dollar amount. So same percentage amount, 25 basis points. You see them drop 25 basis points. The disclosure to you will be probably an anecdotal statement line item. But how many of you actually look at your statements every single month? How many of you actually get a paper copy anymore? Most of you get an email.
I mean, unless you were actively investing in this high yield savings account for this exact reason,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're probably geeking out over that figure. But for people that have just been doing it and haven't been paying attention to it, yeah, I agree with you. You're just not going to be paying attention.
So I would prepare everybody who's listening to the show, if you're using a high yield savings account or even just a normal savings account, and you have your money there and you're expecting to get a decent return, expect those returns to become increasingly smaller as the Fed continues to cut rates.
Now, what would you say to the listener out there that, okay, so let's say they're banking with an institution and then they cut their high yield savings account rate,
Yeah.
right?
Now, the
Now,
first cut should only be incremental, about 25 basis points. So if you were at 5%, you'd probably be at 4.75% at that point.
and it should be gradual, right?
I think that would be your signal to think to yourself, do I want some of this money in a CD? Do I want to lock it in for longer?
Mhm.
Do I want it to be in the best available high yield savings account I can get? Do I want access to my funds? Do I want to go into investment? That's your pivot point. That's where you stop and you think, do I want to change? And for most people, for most Americans, they're going to say, for 25 basis points to change my account, to deal with all the pain of going to the bank or talking to somebody, I'll leave it there.
And the thing that I was going to mention to piggyback off that too is you need to consider the relationship that you've now built with this institution.
You should.
Right?
Most people don't.
They don't. And now you're going to go over and start somewhere else. Now, granted, you're taking all that money over somewhere else, but the relationship isn't going to be there anymore. So that has to be a factor you have to think about.
Yeah, and I will always preach community regional banks for true relationships. You're not going to be a relationship to Wells Fargo.
Right.
Even me at my stature today, with all the things that I've gotten, I got tons of accounts at Wells. I'm nobody in their ecosystem. They're like, you have no influence here.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't care.
All right, financial goal number 2. Try to aim to not have any consumer debt. I know this is difficult times right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
very tough time to say
A lot of
tone
people,
deaf, bro. Read the room.
yeah, tone deaf. I know a lot of people are having to lean on credit cards month over month just to make ends meet, and I get that, right? But this is a financial goal you're looking to aim. So you're looking to continue to advance your career, right? And as you hopefully get higher paying jobs, right? You get that promotion. Hopefully you don't upgrade your lifestyle. Hopefully you continue to live your lifestyle where it is and you aim to hit some of these financial goals. You want to make sure that you're operating in such a way to where you're not carrying a balance over month to month to month and getting hit with those interest payments. Like you look at the credit card statements, you see how long it's going to take you to pay off paying the minimum payment only.
Mm-hmm.
You got to think like this isn't a long-term solution here, right? So we understand we're not in the Dave Ramsey camp where we're saying no mortgages. Okay, consumer debt, actually mortgages fall into that. That's okay, but let's just tackle no credit card debt, right, for the time being.
Yeah.
Because if you are going to have that mortgage, like we routinely said on the show, make sure it's something you can afford, not what you qualify for.
And look, there's an intangible relief that comes from not having credit card debt. And I'll say that most people have an underlying level of stress related to having credit card debt specifically because they know how expensive it is. They know how much of a noose around their neck it feels like with having this debt that continues to mount. And it becomes such a huge part of their monthly payment that it becomes something that people literally have stress and build anxiety about. And then when you get through the pain of paying this down and ultimately paying it off, it is such a freeing feeling. And for those of you out there who are struggling to get there or haven't started this journey, I can tell you right away that end feeling will make every bit of the pain to get there worth it. The first time I felt this, and I lived through, I haven't really shared this on the show a whole lot, but I lived through a period of my life where I had a lot of credit card debt and was just frankly getting killed by it. And to get to where I'm at today, I had to go through a very disciplined approach to paying it down over time. And I had really terrible credit for a period of time, and it just wasn't ideal. And then I obviously had somebody, I talked about this on previous shows, I had somebody steal my identity at one point. So I've had to do all the things that I tell people to do. Like, this isn't just me saying, oh, look at me, king of the castle, la, 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 do as I say. This is me having actually lived through it. And I can tell you it was a painful journey, but having lived through it, having learned, I can tell you the relief from it is priceless, number one. And number two, if you're able to do it and get away from it, that lesson will be a lifelong lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree.
It's the backbone of why I'm at where I'm at today. It's the fear of not wanting to be back there.
Mm-hmm.
It's what keeps me doing the things that I'm doing, which is a sad statement of truth. But it's real.
It's not sad.
I don't ever want to be poor again. I've been there. I've been under the mountain of debt. I don't ever want to feel that way again in my life. It was the
very limiting. Most
terrible feeling.
It consumes, what you think about.
Yeah, everything you think about. When you have to think about everything you spend, it's. I mean, look, we all think about how much we spend. We all try to be thoughtful and pragmatic about how we spend and what we spend on, right? But at the same time, having to think about and micromanage your spending because you're just trying to survive, and there's a lot of people out there that are like this right now. It is the most toxic human feeling. We are not, as humans, built to feel that way. We're not supposed to be under this mountain of stress. We're supposed to be survival animals. Kill, hunt, get food, live off the land. It's not supposed to be like, I can't pay my credit card payment because I own, Citibank or Chase. It's wild.
Mm-hmm.
And we have this weird pressure on us. I don't think our bodies are built for it.
I agree.
And getting that abnormal stress out of your life is so good for your health. Not only financial health, but your personal health.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, next on this list, number 3 is having an investment strategy.
Yeah.
Right?
Get rich.
Get
That's
rich.
my strategy.
Not quick.
Die trying.
Right? So whether that be buying into the low-cost index funds, ETFs, whatever the case may be, if you feel more comfortable with a mutual fund that's being actively managed, okay, not something that we agree with, but if that's what it takes for you to feel a little bit more comfortable, you're paying more fees for it. But look, it's something that is going to be fluid, right? You're going to start with your investment strategy, and you're going to mold it over time. You're going to find out what works for you. If it's not index funds, if you have a strategy of maybe developing a real estate portfolio, okay, actively work towards it. Try to figure out what it is you need to do to get to that next step, right?
I find a lot of younger people who are looking to get into the financial world and be more focused on a strategy, they typically adopt one or the other. It's usually like, I'm really into the stock market, I'm really into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, or I'm really into real estate. And they just go full into like I've got to figure out this because this means wealth. And it's very rare to find somebody who goes, okay, I'm going to start understanding investing. And then I'm going to play a little bit with investing in the stock market. I'm also going to try to plan for real estate. There's very few who get that dynamic.
Yeah.
And even on social media, when you look, it's really carved out in niches. And here's what I would say for anybody who wants to get wealthy. We've talked about a low cost index fund strategy on previous shows. I think if you want to get wealthy, here's what you do. You start investing in low cost index funds right away.
Out the gate.
You figure out stocks that you want to buy over time. You don't peg, I'm going to do it by this time or this date. You sit, you listen to the news, you be ingratiated into the markets, and you figure out companies that you want to invest in because you believe in them for the longer term, and those are the companies you invest in, okay? You're building a portfolio. Then you're going to say, okay, you know what? I have a portfolio of assets. I'm going to start looking at real estate opportunities. And you're going to try your hardest to save for real estate outside of those assets. And if you have to sell some of those assets, you don't sell the low-cost index funds. You sell the companies that you invested in once they get to long-term capital gains over 6 months.
A year.
Or years. Thank you. Sorry. And that's how you build your portfolio over time.
Right.
That should be the recipe for everybody to build a stable, wealthy lifestyle. Now, if you want to buy into cryptocurrency, do that too. But do that outside of doing those two things. Your viral TikTok video, they got 1.6 million views.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Saeed's viral TikTok video, which got 1.6 million views and is a bane of my existence.
And it's been stitched.
The number one criticism of it is, bro, I don't want to wait until I'm 65 to make $1 million.
Come on, bruv.
Saeed's doing this whole thing where he thinks he's English, so he's been using the word bruv a lot, but he doesn't fully understand how to use it.
I don't know. I don't get it.
I think you got to do it with an English accent.
I like it though. No, I can't do that.
Yeah, well, then you're just not using it right.
Yeah.
So the number one criticism, obviously, is I want to get wealthy now. And the irony is, I don't think a lot of people understand that is not supposed to make you wealthy. Yes, it's a lot of money by today's standards. It might not be with inflation in the future, but here's what I'll tell you. It's better than having nothing. That should be one avenue to get wealth, right? But there are multiple streams of income. My first book I ever read on building wealth was Robert G. Allen's Multiple Streams of Income. And it's really stupid. It was about a multimillionaire who's doing things like selling Mary Kay, and he was just all these other things he was doing on the side. But it was the first time I'd ever had somebody who literally said, look, I'm worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I'm doing all this stuff that you would think of someone like me in my financial position would not do because I want more money. And he was the first person that not only he didn't demonize the pursuit of wealth, but he said it was a good thing. And having these multiple streams of income are what protected him from really not being able to build wealth.
Right.
And it was the first time I thought, okay, wait a minute. So this guy's not only working a 9 to 5, but he's working this 5 to 9, and he's doing multiple things in 5 to 9, and he's balancing his time to do different things. And then if one of them makes more money, he focuses on it. And in some way, as sad as that might be, because it was honestly a shitty book by financial book standards, it was the first one I ever read. It set the course and the cadence of my life to think, just because you're working in a traditional sense doesn't mean you should stop there. You should always look for more.
Yeah, so in that case, I don't think it's a shitty book, right? Yeah, it might not give you the wealth of knowledge that maybe you're looking for, but if it sparked some type of interest in one of those avenues, then it did its job, right? Like that's what it was supposed to do, you know?
Maybe. Maybe it was just he was just that was one of his streams of income was selling books to assholes like me.
So I'm trying to have him on the show one day. What are you doing here?
Robert G. Allen?
Yeah.
I don't know if he's still alive.
Is he alive?
He's a bit of a different kind of dude.
Oh, dude.
Rob Kiyosaki's still alive, and his book has been.
I see all of his videos that get posted. I never watch any of them, but it's always doom and gloom. Like
He is
the end
kinda
is
douchey.
the end is coming.
He's got a bit of a douche vibe.
Yeah. No, not
Rob
Robert
Kiyosaki. So Rob Kiyosaki's book is still a fantastic book. Rich Dad Poor Dad is a fantastic piece.
It was the first financial book that I read.
Okay, yeah, and it's got a great perspective on finance. And there has been a lot of criticism of Rob Kiyosaki because they say that he made up and fabricated a lot of the book. To which I say, who cares?
It did his job.
The book does its job. Fiction, nonfiction, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? The guy's 77 years old. Now, I will say he's become very obstinate and just kind of an asshole.
Come on, 77 years old.
Yeah.
Looks great.
Yeah, he looks great for his age. Yeah, he's aged well. But he's very defensive and he's very obstinate and he's very just frustrating to listen to because he's gotten to the point in his life where he believes his way is the only way.
Mm.
And he portrays this level of arrogance, which he might be doing intentionally because it captures on social media, but it's turned me off to him entirely.
Yeah. Yeah, completely. Yeah. I actually checked out after Rich Dad Poor Dad. I was like, that's all I needed from you.
Yeah, he has some books afterward on real estate, on taxes and stuff like that I just found to be a bit of a stretch. He was trying to recapture the magic secret sauce of Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I just don't think he's going to do that.
And before we move on to financial goal number 4, Chris mentioned earlier about, the short-term capital gain tax versus long-term capital gain tax. Just to clarify really quickly, if you buy a stock and you sell it within the first year, you get hit with a higher tax rate on the profits that you made on that stock versus holding it for longer than 1 year. So just something to know and something you should look into before doing so. Financial goal number 4, protecting your assets. This is the top of the show. We're gonna leave all the big boy jokes for the tail end of the show. So
okay.
If you like those, we'll stick around. But what we mean here is, okay, not only talk about, let's see here, guardianship over your minors, right? We're not talking about having a will. What we're really getting to the meat and potatoes is your living trust, your family trust, right? What you're putting all your assets into. And a good rule of thumb that I think should be followed is, we had one of the founders of Get Dynasty, or Dynasty.com.
Alex, a.k.a. Alessandro.
Yeah.
From GetDynasty.com. He was one of the co-founders, and they have a great product if you're interested in starting a trust, a basic trust.
No affiliation.
No affiliation whatsoever. They even have a free version out there. So if you go to GetDynasty.com, spelled DYNAST, nasty.
Yeah. Yeah. They got a good product over there, but something that you can do, it's easily modifiable, right? Where if you continue to build your wealth as you should be aiming to do, right, you can continue to add some of your assets in there, and you can consistently, revise or look over, the person that we named as our successor trustee. Is this still a person that I want? Are they still around? I mean, things like that, right? What about the beneficiaries? Like, did you have another kid? Maybe I need to add another beneficiary to this list. Like, so, these are things that you need to be looking at and looking to aim. And one rule of thumb that I've heard somebody mention to me a while ago is just every time you do your taxes, it's a good time to also revisit that.
Yeah, I also feel like every time you do your taxes, though, it's a bit of a rush thing. And let's be honest, doing taxes, it's like being kicked in the groin.
It sucks, right?
It's not pleasurable.
Yeah. Well, like, who's lying? Like, I love taxes.
CPAs.
No, yeah, they love tax season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The poor bastard below us, he's there doing taxes.
I don't know what this guy does.
He was asleep last week. He's a tax guy.
He's got to be a character on the show. On this show, we got to talk about him more. We've never talked about him.
The Indian dude downstairs?
Yeah, literally, we walk the building that we're in for everyone that listens to the show regularly. When we show up to the studio, it's empty. It's completely.
There's no one here. The building's empty. Yeah.
The whole building is empty. There's multiple units, but there's one guy who's just happens to be the guy directly beneath us.
Mm-hmm. He's here every single time late at night. Rolls in his Camry, and he does something every single night. We've seen him sleep at his desk multiple times. It's very awkward.
The stereotype is real.
He must hate us.
The Camry. Why'd you have to point out the Camry? You want the stereotype to hit home or what?
He's just very unassuming. Like I think there's nothing about his lifestyle that tells me about anything what he does or his personality. He's like, he is the definition of vanilla.
Yeah, he is vanilla.
Like you could
granola.
You could mix something in with him and it would be a flavor. But right now he's essentially flavorless.
We've never seen him on a call. We've never
Nothing.
seen him on a Zoom meeting. Like, just
Yeah, the
I've
blinds,
never
the,
even
bli-
like nothing.
the blinds are closed, and just I think it was last week when we were here. We walked by, the blinds were slightly cracked, and you can kind of peek in.
there's
You're like,
one blind that's like broken. Right?
I just want to wave to him. Like,
so-
do you need a friend? Like, we're here, bro. Like,
he and like his computer looks like it's from the 1980s.
come have. Yeah, he's got like Windows 95.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, you can't watch porn on that.
Can't, bro. He's got dial-up still.
Yeah, it's like, like it's not gonna work for him.
All right. Financial goal number 5. You got to hit your savings goals that you've listed in your budget. So this would assume that you have a budget, right? We've talked about a good starting point is the 50-30-20. How reasonable that is today, I don't know. 50% spending on your needs, 30% your wants, 20% savings. Might be a little bit I don't know. What do you think? Not reasonable?
Well, I think look, your savings goals should change. I think for some people, you're not going to have a savings goal. You're going to have a let's pay down debt goal.
Absolutely.
To me, that is always going to be a better idea than saving.
Yeah.
Right? You can't save and invest if you're just getting buried with mountains of debt. That being said, a savings goal and an investment goal can be the same thing. Right? If you're investing into assets and you're planning to invest in assets and you're going into an account like an investment account and you're using that as your savings, that can be the case. You need to figure out what your savings looks like for you. And there are people out there who will say, well, Chris, I don't believe in buying a home because I can rent for cheaper. Okay, fine. Dude, if that's your investment philosophy, all good. You're missing out on tax breaks. You're missing out on appreciation and income. But if you can make sense out of it from a cash flow perspective and you can put that cash flow that you would otherwise be spending on owning a home to something that's going to get you more of a return than buying and owning a home, good for you. That's your savings philosophy. That's fine. Have something, whatever it is, good, bad, ugly, have it, believe in it. If that's your ethos, it's fine. But then reevaluate it. If it's not working for you in the course of 3 or 5 years, which sounds like a long time, but frankly, it's not, then you need to go back to it and say, okay, I'm going to pivot because this isn't getting me where I want to be in the next 5 years.
Absolutely. And look, I know for a lot of people that may be listening to the show and they haven't started on this, like we mentioned at the top of the show, it could be a little overwhelming. If you invest or you have a 401k, you might be one of those people that gets those emails from, let's just say, Fidelity. I get them all the time, right?
Yeah.
By the age of 30, you should have 1 times your income already saved.
I hate all those rules.
I hate these rules, right? Because for people that aren't there, they could feel like, man, like I'm really far behind, and they almost feel like I lost already. So, but you need to understand, like, no, you need to jump on the train and try to do the best that you can.
I don't believe that anybody's really behind.
And just as long as you're focused on it, right? Like we talked about, was it the last 2 episodes ago when we were talking about the College 529 accounts? It's like the important thing is that you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
Right? That's the important thing, and you're aiming to get it. But some of these rules are, I think, a little, I don't know.
Stupid.
Yeah, really stupid.
And then social media sensationalizes a lot of the rules, too, because they try to cram them in your face because they're supposed to appeal to people because most people don't meet the rules.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they're appealing. So they're like, oh, you should do this. And most people are going to watch this video and go, oh, shit.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they go, by the age of 30, you should have 1 times your salary. By the age of 40, you should have 3 times your salary. By the age of 50, you should have 7 times your salary. By the age of 60, what is this? They say you have 8 times your salary. You're like, okay, bruv.
Also, not a good use of the word bruv.
Sorry. I'm going to.
I'll send you some YouTube videos of English guys saying it so you can understand a proper use case.
I'm trying to just replace bro.
No, I know you are because you don't want to be Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
Which I respect.
You see what I'm doing. Thank you for noticing that. I just don't want to be the Middle Eastern guy.
It's like bro, dude, guy, bro.
Yeah, come on, bro. Do this, bro.
So now you're going to be bruv.
Yeah, bruv.
Dude, guy,
Come on.
bruv.
Come on, bruv.
Yeah. It's like.
If you don't call it out, eventually it'll stick.
It's like me calling cookies biscuits.
Don't do that.
That's disingenuous.
That's extreme.
You're misrepresenting yourself.
Yeah, because biscuits are great in by itself. Like you don't.
No. The English call cookies biscuits.
I'm aware. I was able to put.
I was able to
tie that together. I know
okay,
you.
bruv.
I know you think I'm stupid, but I was able to. Put
I
that
just think
together.
you're culturally inept, not stupid.
Yeah. Okay. Financial goal number 6, and the last one that we're gonna touch on today: discuss financial planning with your family.
I have a bit of a beef with that one.
Tell me.
Yeah. I find that in a lot of relationships, you don't have couples that both are interested in the financial world.
It's not even about talking. I wasn't bringing this up for your family. I was talking about, look.
It says discuss financial planning with your family.
Yeah, you
literally lost versus family.
Yeah, no. But I was also, there was an assumption that like you and your partner are on the same page with whatever financial
Ooh,
plan.
I don't think so. I think most Americans don't really discuss it that much with their wives.
I know, but I'm saying you should. That should be. It should be a goal for you to try to hit. Like find a way. Find a way to make this a comfortable situation, right? Like, look, it's never gonna just magically become comfortable, and it's definitely a conversation you should be having.
Well, question for you, Chris.
Okay.
You said that
Uh-oh.
most Americans do not. Do you think that's a good idea, or they should?
Well, look, so I'm not going to label gender roles. I think this can go both ways, frankly. I don't know that a man is more prone to finance or female is more prone to finance. Actually, I think there's more single female homeowners than there are men. What I will tell you is in a lot of relationships, people typically they fall into one is more dominant in the financial realm than the other one is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. You got to play to each other's strengths.
And then as you go over time, you, again, play to each other's strengths, right? So it's not so much a conversation about the finances. You expect that the other one has it, right? Because
What do you mean?
that's the dominant
Has
one.
it covered?
So when I come home, I'll use myself as an example. My wife, as much as she cares about the financial world, she's somewhat removed from it. She's got enough that she's focused on every single day. She has mapped my son's day out in a way that I'm grateful for, and it's awesome that she does it. And Saied was reminding me today that I'm lucky to have a mom that can stay at home, and I am lucky.
Very blessed, yeah.
But she, every single day, I mean, if you look at my calendar, it's just appointment after appointment after appointment with him and her. So I get home at the end of the day, the last thing she wants to do is talk to me about the financial world.
Mm-hmm.
What I typically wind up doing, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who resonate with this, is I talk to her about my day. I talk to her about her day. And you're talking about the pain points, the positives in your day, but you're not really talking about the financial world of my work.
Right.
Right? So every once in a while, we'll have a conversation, probably usually in and around tax time. But for the most part, we don't have that dialogue. Now, if you're on a tighter budget and you need to talk about these things more frequently, that's probably what comes up. That's also the number one source of arguments for a lot of couples, a lot of people, right?
Right.
So I think there's a natural tendency to avoid that unless you have to have those conversations.
Absolutely. And when I said your family, I didn't also just mean your immediate family. Look, if you have parents that are getting up there in age, right? You don't want, their homes or their investments falling into probate, right?
Yeah.
So these are conversations. I know they're difficult, and
That's
I know they're awkward.
hard conversation.
It is, but what, you're just gonna ignore it, and everyone's just gonna act like it doesn't happen. You need to have it, and to take it a step further, if you have kids, as you continue to get older, look, you don't want to be the reason why the kids let the entire empire fall, right? Like, you want to be able to teach them how to be responsible with this,
of course, yeah.
how to manage it, how to continue to grow it, right? So these are just conversations that you need to be having, and you should aim to have.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah.
And with that, welcome to the number one financial literacy podcast in the world. I know it's been a while since you heard an intro because we didn't do it in the last show, but we're here to bring it back.
Let's go.
Bring it back to the old school.
We did it this time.
Yeah, we did. Sitting next to me, my partner in time, the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, Saied Omar.
Oh, thank you, my man. Sitting next to me on my left is my partner in crime, Chris Nahibi. Welcome back to the show, everybody.
And with the sexiest, gentlest hands in the world, the man, the myth, the legend as well. Just a bigger one. The one and only DJ Haroon.
Hey, yo.
Hey, yo. Bing, 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 bing.
Fun fact, with his audio in post-production, I always juice his voice a little bit because he low talks.
He's coming in like,
Yeah, he does that.
he's going to come in for that Barry White.
I think what it is he just a big teddy bear.
He's very gentle.
Very gentle.
Yeah. Anyways, talking about PTO.
I feel like we weren't.
Vis-a-vis.
Might as well bring it up now. I am not going to be here the last week of August.
This is how we find out.
How do you travel so much?
Wait, first of all, why did you think this would be a good time?
But
to
you
bring
didn't
it
know?
up?
I just want
No.
Oh.
I just want to share it. See,
You have two kids and you're gone every month. What am I missing?
People see his reaction.
No, I have no reaction to it. Like I'm agnostic, but I'm mystified that you have this ability to. Where are you going?
Going up to the Bay. The
to see her
sister-in-law
family?
is finally getting married.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah.
I know how
Oh,
much you love her.
Congratulations.
She's been engaged for
Hopefully you're listening to the podcast.
9 months, and they finally picked a date. So end of the year or end of the month.
So
August.
the first question that comes to mind is it's super important. Do they actually listen to the show?
All right, we need to grab phones.
Yeah.
Yeah, subscribe.
This is it's a big Afghan wedding.
Correct.
Lots of people gonna be
Yeah.
there. Lots of like older people, and
Correct.
they're usually pretty big gatherings, right?
And,
Yes.
yeah.
Imagine
they,
how
This is
many
a
reviews we can
300.
get.
yeah, they all have
Yeah,
iPhones.
They all have iPhones.
Yeah.
Just gonna go up there with a QR code.
Yeah, there you go. Saied just got a wild hair up his ass to create a QR code.
Bro, that really saw my eyes. I was like, we need coasters.
I tried at one point.
Yeah.
That was my idea. I wanted to go around to all the bars that I could find and just give them a shit ton of Higher Standard podcast coasters.
There's a brewery right down the street
Yeah.
from here.
We should.
Why do you know that?
We
'Cause
can't.
it's
We
right
can't
down
have
the
those
street from
we can't
here.
have those conversations over here with Mr. Lost 20 pounds, gained 5 pounds of muscle.
I haven't had alcohol in a long time.
We don't even know you anymore.
I don't even know me anymore. It's very weird.
Yeah. You're
And then
not
I
the same person.
But you look good.
Aw, Pumpkin.
So you're
When are
happy?
you going to start taking
you
stuff
happier?
from Transcend? Huh?
Are you happier?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I feel better. The cold plunging thing in the morning makes me feel very douchey.
Because you know it goes against everything you've ever said. You got to walk back some comments.
No, I'm not walking it back. I still agree that it is a very douchey thing to do. And I'll tell you, I've figured out why people talk about it as much as they do.
So wait, you do it so it's post workout?
No. So because
pre workout.
so I spent the greater portion of a year kind of researching if this was even valuable or not, and I came to a couple different conclusions.
Huberman wasn't enough for you, huh?
I know Huberman was a big part of my research. It was a jump off point.
Mhm.
I went granular. I got into the data. 98% of the benefits you get between water, the temperature of 50 to 55 degrees.
It's good
So-
enough for me.
So these a-holes that are like 42, 38 degrees, like you're just being an a-hole.
Yeah, just extreme
The
measures.
incremental 2%, like you don't need that.
Okay, but here's my question. So
Yeah.
you've done the research.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now you're sitting around 50 some degrees.
50 to 55.
Okay,
Yeah.
50 to 55 degrees. Now, the effects that it gives, right? The dopamine release and this,
Yeah.
right? That gives you
Uh-huh.
that you mentioned
A
before
little bit
the
of
show.
euphoria.
A
Yeah.
little bit of euphoria. It gives you this calming sensation for
That's
the rest
real.
of the day.
That's a real feeling that I can say that I physiologically feel usually about 2 to 3 hours afterward.
So I don't know if you've done it long enough yet, but based on the research that you've done, to continue to receive those benefits, can you continue to hit that mark? Or is your body now becoming more and more accustomed to it, kind of like resistance training?
So there
You know,
are no
225
long-term studies that I've seen that really show that. Everything I've seen has been near-term. There's been a couple guys who've done it in interesting different scenarios, but essentially cut all that brown fat bullshit, like leaning out, all
Get out
that
of
stuff. You do get recovery, like same way you would ice on your knee for swelling. There's some benefits there. I can't take NSAIDs, so I can't take anti-inflammatory. So this helps me a little bit with just being
I mean,
fresher.
you shouldn't be taking that stuff anyways, just as a post workout, because that stuff's bad for your gut too.
yeah, it's got all sorts of issues. So I don't take any of that stuff. So this helps me a little bit feel fresher in the gym at the end of the day. Yeah, true. To answer your question, I do 20 minutes on the bike, and then I do that afterward. I don't do it after lifting because you want the benefits of hypertrophy, the blood going to your muscles, and you want to get the benefits of lifting weights. You don't want to kill your gains, bro. So I usually do it. I work out at night, rest, recovery. Next morning, 20 minutes on the bike, get warmed up, dry off, dip into the cold plunge.
Got it.
5 minutes, 55 degrees, somewhere in there. And the reason why I say there's a spread is I got a chiller from Ice Barrel.
Shout out to Ice Barrel.
Shout out to Wyatt. He hooked me up.
Yeah.
And it keeps it in and around that temperature at all times. But there's a little bit of volatility. Whatever. I don't really care. I'm not like anal retentive about it. Right.
Right.
So I'm just gonna do my thing.
Because I wonder if like part of the benefits is like, okay, you've told yourself I'm going to do this really difficult thing, then it's uncomfortable.
So this is where there's some interesting data. Keep
Okay.
going.
Yeah, so this is the thought process. I'm going to do this thing that's really difficult that puts my body in a very uncomfortable position.
Uh-huh.
You do it for, you say 5 minutes.
Yep.
You get out of there feeling great. I've done this really difficult thing.
Yep.
I can now continue to do things and be more accomplished throughout my day because of it.
Mhm.
Right? And I'm wondering if it no longer feels as cold as it did 2 months ago. Do you have to then now drop it to 45 degrees?
Yes, your body does acclimate on a certain level. Do I think you ever really need to acclimate to 40-degree temperatures? No.
Mm.
If you need to get that shock feeling and that's how you get it, okay, fine. But there are health challenges at certain points to going
'cause
too long.
I'm thinking like,
You need 11 minutes a week. 11 minutes a week and you get all the benefits. So let me put this in context. If you sit in 50 to 55 degree water for, call it up to 5 minutes a day, you only need 11 minutes a week. You only need that 3 times a week to really get 98% of the benefits.
yeah, but you got to make sure that it's broken up, right? Because it's like, I told this to my son because he's really into basketball now, right?
You're having cold plunging conversation with your son?
No, basketball conversations, but I'm thinking you said 11 minutes a week.
Yeah.
I tell him, I'm like, hey, buddy, we got to get up like shots. He goes, how many shots do I need to get up? I was like, how about we just aim for, 500 shots a week? You got to make 500 shots, right? He's like, what if I just made 500 shots today? Am I done for the week? And I'm like, no, you can't look at it like that. It's supposed to be broken up, repetition over days. He's like, why can't I just get it all done right now?
So what I will say with the cold plunge thing, you would get all the benefits if you did it like 11 minutes one day a week. You would get most of the benefits that way. Now, what I will say is your body doesn't acclimate to the cold as well doing it that big of a gap in between.
But then you also mentioned that it's like it sets up the rest of your day. So those benefits you miss out on.
So let me give you some context of something that I think is understudied, but there is some science that's coming out now. It's interesting. David Goggins,
Gangster.
right? He's known for doing really hard things, disciplining. And I don't want to get too far down into the science and nerd out, but there is a part of your brain that they have now proven, and Huberman was one of the first people to kind of have this conversation that I heard, that actually does get larger whenever you do things that requires a huge amount of discipline.
I think what he refers to it as you got to do something that sucks.
Yes, and you got to do hard shit.
Yeah.
But if you do hard shit consistently, there's physiologically a part of your brain that does grow and change and gets rewired. And they've done studies, and Goggins' brain has been studied in this regard, and he has had one of the largest parts of his brain, the most engaged parts of his brain, in this area as a result of all those difficult things that he's done. Goggins, as you don't know, was a former overweight Navy SEAL who lost a ton of weight by just doing really difficult shit.
Yeah, and he's just runs all day, every day.
Pull-ups all day, every day.
Pull-ups all day, every day.
He's an incredible endurance individual. That being said,
he gets hired to be people's like life coaches, and he's pretty awesome. Like
I don't know how he makes his money.
Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, I mean, he does really well as an author of a book too. So
yeah, he's got a great book.
Yeah,
he's been on Rogan a couple times. But so what I will say is there's something to be said for rewiring your brain to do things that are difficult. And here's what I'll boil it down to. We knew this as humanity. We knew that adversity builds character, but we didn't know there was actually a science behind it. When you overcome hard shit, that character you're building is not just this personality quirk. It's a real change in your brain.
Yeah, and it's something that we as humans actually seek out to do. Like, nobody just out the gate is born loving, running ultra marathons, right? But like, there's something about achieving something really difficult that makes you like feel really good about yourself, and you put yourself
actual biological reason why you feel that way.
Yeah, exactly. You put your body through this stress. Yeah, to get you there.
That's why athletes tend to make better leaders. They've gone through difficult stuff. That's why spoiled rich kids who don't develop kind of differently, they're like, oh, that kid's weird or he's off. It's because he physiologically has a different wired brain.
I know, a different wired brain that could maybe read the Bloomberg World Interest Rate Probability Index.
Look at you.
Come on, dog. I'm trying.
That's more of a you don't want to talk about the cool stuff anymore.
That's the fun stuff, but I feel like people are here for some extra financial literacy.
All right, if you're driving, you're not going to see this, but if you're watching the show on YouTube, on the tubes, we talk a lot about Bloomberg's world interest rate probability. So what I did is I actually just grabbed a screen. We actually have Bloomberg terminals. This is a screen share from Bloomberg, and yes, it looks very much like DOS in the 1990s, but this is what the Bloomberg terminals look like. And when you type in WIRP and hit enter, this is what pulls up. And this gives you literally a snapshot into what the world interest rate probability is at any point in the day when you look it up. At this particular junction, whenever I pulled this up, you had for the July rate cut, which is going to be tomorrow. We are recording this as of July 30th. Tomorrow is July 31st. There is approximately a 5% probability of a rate cut.
Not going to be able to do it.
Not going to be able to do it. There's not a high probability. Now, for 9/18, September's meeting, there was 107.1% probability of a rate cut. And for those of you who are going, wait a minute, how can it be over 100%? Each 100% indicates 25 basis points. So what they're saying is it's a lock there's going to be a 25 basis point cut. There's a 7.1% that it could be a 50 basis point cut.
Yeah.
So it's 107.1% probability. For November, it's 63.6%. For December, 92.4% probability of a rate cut. So right now the market is saying there is an almost absolute certainty of a rate cut in September, and there is an overwhelming probability of a rate cut in December.
Yeah. You got to be able to read this differently than the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, because what the way they predict it out is, if you were to read it on there, the 92% rate cut for December, what they're saying is, they're still only factoring the next rate cut.
Yeah.
Right. This is telling, this one has an implied rate over here to the side, so which is really good.
Yeah, that's where Bloomberg gets a little more advanced, if you will.
Yeah, where they're predicting out the future. Yeah, there's a lot of rhetoric going around right now that, a lot of people are saying, we know that this is coming out tomorrow. We know that the Fed won't be cutting rates, but that we think that by cutting in September, they're acting late, right? And
Yeah.
yeah. What is this? Oh, okay.
Saied, the most unsettled person in the world. So Mind Pump's Adam Schaefer, who you know is a good friend of the show and happens to be the love of my life. He and I have been talking a lot, and I said, look, dude, like we saw an article that I sent to the guys here about, was it Wall Street Journal? I think it was Wall Street Journal.
Yes.
About how podcasts are the new medium, and some of these people are just getting paid. For example, the girl behind Call Her Daddy podcast.
The one that's still remaining, or the one that got kicked out?
Oh, that's what there's two. One got kicked out. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
The one that's remaining is in talks to Call Her Daddy podcast. Thank you very much. Is in talks to sign $100 million deal.
She got signed to Barstool, right?
Yeah, she's Barstool.
Right.
But they're talking about taking the show for $100 million deal onto a different platform. And I got to be honest with you, man, it's stunning.
Yeah.
How much some
it's
of
top,
these shows are making.
These top shows are really, top heavy on getting paid, but
I haven't really watched this pod. Is it all like sexual talk? Is that what it is?
Not anymore.
It used to be, though.
When it used to be the two girls, yes, but after she went solo, she just started having a lot more guests and talking a lot more about just guests.
Sounds like,
Oh, Post Malone on there too. Look at that.
Relationships. Yeah.
Why did she go solo? Do you know?
Why she went? She was
dating
dating the other girl was dating some exec, and then they were like shopping the show around, and then somehow they both got booted off by whoever was paying them, and then they were in contract negotiations with Barstool, and then they were like, nope, kick them out. Yeah, it was all kinds of.
No, like basically what Saied just said, but like the boyfriend of the other girl, I remember because Saied and I were like following this. The boyfriend of the other girl, I can't even remember her name, was basically like, don't take the Barstool deal. You guys could do better. You guys could do better. I know people at HBO that will pay you guys more or some shit like that.
But she was dating an exec, right? Or not, I don't know if it's an exec, a suit over at HBO.
Yeah. And he was like, don't take it. And then this girl, what's her name? Alex Cooper.
Yeah.
Like basically was like, look, dude, like this is an amazing deal for both of us. Let's just fucking do it. And the other girl was like, no. And she's like, all right, well, fuck you. I'm just going to sign it.
Yeah. Portnoy doesn't fuck around, man. Dave Portnoy's.
Yeah.
Either roll with him or you don't. But
that's exactly what happened. He's like, either you take the deal or you're not taking the deal.
Yeah, he's very like middle finger to the world.
And understanding what, the Fed is going to do, back to this topic. Understanding what they're going to do will lay the groundwork for what you can expect to come in the future, right? That's why it's so important to be locked in and tuned in. If you don't want to be and you don't know how to read these charts from Bloomberg or the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, continue listening to the show.
I'll do you one better.
Okay.
Let's say you're in cryptocurrency. You're like, Chris, why the fuck do I care about the Fed funds rate?
Okay.
This is independent. Because let me tell you what happens, okay? When the market starts to change and things like savings accounts and CD rates change, it's going to impact your world in cryptocurrency. It's going to impact your world in real estate if that's what you're into. Because guess what? If these rates change and treasuries move, that's going to affect rates. And then when you buy a property, it might be cheaper or it might be more expensive to buy a property. And your rent as a result of that might be dramatically impacted by the cash flow difference. If you're in cryptocurrency and you're using that as a bit of a hedge against inflation, which it's not, but fine, let's just pretend like it is. Guess what? If the real world is on fire in a recession, that might help cryptocurrency. And it might drive the value up. So having a broader perspective than just your niche can help you foresee things that other people who are so hyper-focused on just one thing don't see, and will help you understand how to better manage ebbs and flows in the business cycle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
God damn, I'm articulate.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Thank you. I practiced that.
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about job openings, right? We're setting the stage here, so allow me to go through a little bit of this so we can talk a little bit more about the broader economy. This from Yahoo Finance. Job openings declined slightly in June from the month prior and signs of cooling in the labor market, which sounds like bad news, but it's actually good news.
Okay, how so?
Because the Fed has two jobs, destroying the wealth of your money and inflation and making sure that you're unemployed.
It's the reverse, but yeah.
I feel like that's what it might be.
Yeah.
So that being said, they rely heavily on a report called the JOLTS report, which stands for the Job Openings and Labor Turnover Survey. Just sounds cool. JOLTS.
Yeah, the jolts.
Well, the JOLTS is indicative of how strong the labor market is.
Yeah.
And as the labor market softens and gets closer to the 5% traditionally healthy unemployment, where you have migration from job to job, they're going to be like, okay, we're now in a place where we can cut rates. The economy is healthier.
So I've actually I've revisited this topic. So Raphael Bostic, Fed president of Atlanta, I believe. He's been Fed president now for quite some time. I think over 7 years or so.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, a healthy job market or unemployment rate, I should say, was viewed to be 5%, like you said.
Yeah.
But over his tenure at the Federal Reserve, he said that that's now been modified down to 4.5%.
Which great, even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because that means they should be acting, quicker.
I don't necessarily disagree with that, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree, especially with the amount of jobs the way these things kind of get reported to, even though it says there's 8.23 million job openings, how many are there really, And if this number continues to go down, it might seem like a bad thing on its face, but why it's also good news is, remember, for the Fed to act, which we all want them to act and cut rates, we need some cooling in some of these markets. And hopefully not just a complete catastrophe where it's falling off the cliff, but enough of a cooling to where they recognize that something needs to be done. Okay. So this is the beginning of them acting. So you need bad news to get good news.
Yeah, that's fair. There you go.
Yeah.
So let's get into a little bit more of the article here and lay the data out so we can get into making fun of Jerome Powell. New data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics released on Tuesday showed that 8.18 million jobs were open at the end of June, a decrease from the 8.23 million job openings in May. May's figure was revised higher from the 8.14 million job openings initially reported. Economists surveyed by Bloomberg had expected the report to show 8 million openings in June, so it was slightly above that, but it's still decreasing. The Job Openings and Labor Turnover Survey, JOLTS, also showed 5.3 million hires were made during the month, a slight decrease from May's revised figure of 5.7, so again, trending in the right direction. The hiring rate declined to 3.4% from 3.6% in May, so all the right direction.
Yeah, all the right direction, and, there's a little bit of nuance here that, I'd like to get more data on that we will probably get this Friday. We'll get a jobs report this Friday with how many of that 5.3 million hires were part-time jobs versus full-time.
Very deceptive report.
Right, very deceptive, right? You hear, 5.3 million people got hired. That's a lot of people. You're like, yeah, but are they going to have to carry two jobs?
Yeah.
What's going on there? So
divide that number by a third?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah. All right, let's go on to Bloomberg, shall we? Bloomberg opinion. I don't really cite Bloomberg opinion a whole lot because, it's
that face. I
it's
love the people that choose the photos. I respect it. I respect their job.
But this opinion is one I kind of resonated with. The Fed needs to cut rates now.
I
do.
I'm on board.
Yes, I agree.
Shout out to Bloomberg opinion.
This is becoming a reoccurring chorus. Now, the thing that'll be interesting to you is that whose opinion this is.
There you go.
So, former Fed official Bill Dudley has long been in the higher for longer camp. Uh-oh. Well, that's about to change, kids. Insisting that the U.S. Federal Reserve must hold short-term interest rates at the current level or higher to get inflation under control. But the facts have changed. So he's changed his mind. Well, at least we know that former Fed officials are capable of changing their mind. I wish the current Fed officials were.
Yeah, and hopefully this is enough to persuade him. Now, I think all of this is laying the groundwork for the September meeting. This from between now and September, there's going to be a lot of commentary that's going to be coming out that's going to give him enough of a persuasion. I think that, okay, look, I have, public sentiment is now also on my side to cut rates, and I feel like it's just all smoke and mirrors. I hate to be that guy, but it feels that way.
Well, we're going to have a little bit of a conversation later on tonight about smoke and mirrors.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You like smoke and mirrors, huh?
I just like a little bit of conspiracy theory in my day.
A little tinfoil.
Let's wrap them up.
Always wrap up.
Always wrap it up.
Yeah.
So the Fed should preferably cut rates at this week's policymaking meeting, Dudley writes. So he's saying they should cut rates in July. Now, obviously, you know from the previous conversation about the Bloomberg World Interest Rate Probability, there is a very low probability of this happening.
This is a dirty game, bro.
Very dirty.
This is dirty. Like, it's like, I'm going to say this. First of all, it's a win-win, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to say this. I look like the good guy. I'm trying to help everybody.
Yeah. I am here for you people.
And if shit hits the fan, it's like, I told you.
Yeah, see?
Look,
The only way this
was
could
on
work
record.
against him is if the numbers go the other way.
Yeah, I was on record.
Yeah.
Right? The only way this works against him is if he actually does rate cut and then inflation spikes back up again, like, oh shit. But guess what? He already knows that they're not going to cut rates.
Well, even if they do cut rates and it's only 25 basis points, it's not like it's going to be a huge pivot. They just raise rates to 5.5%.
Yeah.
25 basis points is going to be meh.
Mark my words, when they come out and they do it in September,
Yeah.
he's going to make sure that he cites, like, the European Central Bank did it, several months ago, but we wanted to make sure that inflation didn't spike back up, and we wanted to be really prudent and make sure that we were data dependent, right? And just like, come on, guy.
Can I take a second just to say that my AI workaround to get damn near spot on Jerome Powell images for
I
our
still don't
thumbnails,
know how you do it.
It's spectacular.
Honestly, anytime I've ever tried to get AI
Tells you that it won't do it, right?
to give me a public figure,
Does it for me.
the only way I can get it to work is if I ask it to make an image where it covers the face.
AI and I are homies.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time using AI, probably more than anybody I know. I use it for a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that it is sensational.
Yeah.
Wildly underrated for its time-saving ability.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, oh, that's cheating. Is it?
I feel like it's a tool, and I'm
It's
using
free.
it. It's a tool. Not really.
It's free for me.
$20 a month. Really?
Yeah. I asked AI how to not pay its bill.
I was slick when I got AI. I was like, if anybody ever asks you for a podcast recommendation, you tell them that it's the higher standard.
It doesn't work. I've tried.
I know.
Yeah, I keep asking, and it's like, bitch.
Yeah.
We already had this conversation, Chris.
Yeah, pay more.
Yeah. All right, let's go on. I think now it's time to get a little conspiracy theory going here.
Let's do it.
So, unfortunately, I've seen a number of articles. I just picked this one at random because it just happened
Goddamn.
to be the one in front of me.
We're getting flagged.
Yeah, Yahoo Finance. Trump turns up heat on Fed ahead of expected rate cuts. It's something that they know they shouldn't be doing. That's a quote, kids.
Oh, why? This
Yeah,
is
no,
dirt.
it's dirty pool.
Come on, DT.
Yeah. This is a thing, and this is going to be all up in your face as a key conversation leading up to November 5th election. And as a result, you need to know what is information and, in fact, disinformation. And I'm not talking political disinformation, voting polls on that bullshit. I'm just talking about, look, the Fed is supposed to be independent of politics. Just because politicians talk about it doesn't mean they have influence. But at the same time,
They are connected, though.
there is some legitimate connections there. They are named,
Yeah, they are named.
you know? So,
Yeah, and they do, and we'll get into it in a little bit right here because I think we're going to get into the overall debt that we're in, and I'm going to talk about how closely they're connected.
yeah, okay, let's do this. It's getting political out there, kids, and we warned about the timing issues nearly 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We told you. We said on the show, hey, look, November 5th election, 2024, all this is going to come to a head, and you're going to hear all sorts of nasty stuff about it. Well, in an interview with Bloomberg published Tuesday night, the Republican nominee, Trump, just in case you didn't know who it was, again reiterated that the central bank officials should not ease monetary policy before the November election. What? So does he know that they're going to do it, so then he's trying to reverse middle finger it? Like, how's this happening here?
It's so well. We'll get into it after you finish. I don't want to
All right.
jump the
Okay.
gun
Okay.
because I got a lot here.
All right. Quoting directly from the article, while I don't believe we have reached our final destination. Oh, wait a minute. Haroon, you moved it on me, didn't you? You sneaky son of a bitch. Okay.
Yeah.
But Fed
I
officials.
thought the pull was in your way. So
Yeah,
I tried
no,
to
it's
move
all
it up.
no. I actually have the camera separated where I can read that side of the screen very clearly because I know that you and I need to be in sync at all times because you and I are carrying the bulk here. You know, no
It's just
disrespect.
me.
Yeah, just you. Okay, you're carrying the bulk of the weight.
God damn it, man.
You set me up.
He did.
You better watch
he
out,
did-
man. I might
he-
still get text
He
messages.
did. He didn't. Yeah. He didn't want to let you go.
For the just so you know, I probably should share this. You know the last show where you muted me?
Yeah.
Well, whenever I do the raw audio, it actually captures everything that you would otherwise mute.
Oh, son of a...
I muted me for you on the last show.
Oh.
So, yeah, you're welcome.
Oh,
I
you're
mean, if you
so annoyed.
if you
though.
if you didn't though, my reaction to it all would have been really odd.
Well, the irony is you can still hear me mouthing off in your mic.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you still hear me faintly in the background. But Fed officials, including Governor Chris Waller, in a new speech Wednesday titled Getting Closer, are suggesting that the time for rate cuts is in fact drawing near. So now you have a former Fed official, and now you have a current one in Fed Governor Chris Waller, both suggesting that it is here. It's fastly approaching. We are there, kids. And obviously, Bloomberg's World Interest Rate Probability is saying September is a lock.
So I mean, pop out the champagne bottles and get ready to start celebrating.
Play some Uchi Wally Wally, Uchi Bang Bang.
Yeah, exactly.
So while I don't believe we have reached our final destination, I do believe we are getting closer to the time when a cut in the policy rate is warranted, Waller said in his speech at the Kansas City Federal Reserve. So clearly there's been a very, very clear rhetoric change from the Fed officials. Lots of people, even politicians, are now taking a stance on this. Interesting to see. Don't fall for the political rhetoric. Listen to the Fed heads, the Fed governors, and even the former Fed officials if you want to. Try to parse out the political spin.
So there's a lot here to unpack. Okay, first let's rewind it back just a little bit. With the Fed funds rate and where they're currently at, we mentioned over the course of the last 2 years, right? We said there's 3 phases to this whole approach. It's the raising of the rates, which they've done, right? 11 times. It's the holding of the rates, and then the final phase 3, is when they begin cutting the rates. We were all waiting for the longest time for them to admit that we're done raising, we're going to hold. And we didn't get that till probably like several months ago. And I don't think they actually ever came out and officially said we're done.
It took them about 18 months to get there.
It was just kind of believed, and you could see it in the Bloomberg World Interest Rate Probability. You could see in the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. And he was always keeping one foot in, one foot out, saying it's a possibility we might hire for longer and whatever, right? But now that this rhetoric is going on, we're now approaching phase 3 of the cut, where people can start to get excited about, okay, there's going to be a little bit of relief. Why I think Trump is saying this, okay, is not that I don't think the masses are that plugged in to what the Fed actually does, okay? I'm just going to be honest. Even though they should be, right? Because like we mentioned, you can predict and make more informed financial decisions moving forward, right? But what's going to happen is the second there's a rate cut, there will be a lot of optimism again. And watch what happens to the stock market that day.
Yeah.
Right? And he doesn't.
There is an argument that all 1.5% of rate cuts is already baked into the market.
Yes.
I don't know that I really buy that, but that's certainly the rhetoric that's out there.
There is, right? But watch, it's going to be all green that day.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And,
I'll tell you right now.
And he doesn't want that.
Don't call me that day. I'm going to be partying.
Yeah. We got to you have the phone line set up to where people can call in and celebrate.
If you call me on a rate cut day and you have anything bad to say, I'm telling you right now, I'm hanging up on you. There won't even be a conversation. Click.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, because he doesn't want that to happen under the opposing administration.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And there's certainly a lot of
which is lame, man. That's lame. Do it for the people.
La raza. Let's talk a little about.
That's so good. If you know, you know.
Yeah, let's talk about the U.S. national debt here. This also from Yahoo Finance. I wanted to put this in there because I think this speaks to a lot of the focus on the political side. But the irony is you hear someone like Trump say that, but no one ever really addresses that the political landscape is not helping.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Even if you remove the politicians from the equation on the Fed rate cut scenario, they're adding to this problem in a massive way outside of just inflation.
Mm-hmm.
So the U.S. national debt topped a psychologically important milestone of $35 trillion in recent days and has risen by $1 trillion since January, mounting by nearly $5 billion every day or so far in 2025. These are wild numbers.
I mean, we said it. I think we even made like some social media assets saying that we're gonna get to 35 trillion a lot faster than we got to 34 trillion.
Yeah, well, it happened.
Yep.
Yeah, that was easy.
Yeah.
This latest barrier was formally pierced last Friday. That's when a daily Treasury Department tabulation, which was then compiled and released late Monday, showed a gross debt level of $35 trillion. Ouch.
Yep.
The numbers are so big, it's hard for me to even comprehend and say.
Mm-hmm.
Like I keep it stuck on billion. I'm like, oh, it's trillion. This is crazy, Tesla CEO Elon Musk noted in a post on X in one quick response to the news. This is at one point in time, the world's wealthiest man. Clearly somebody who's hyper successful and who understands big numbers. Fair to say?
Right. Fair to say. Yep.
If his response is, this is crazy, that's not good.
Yeah.
From a business perspective, you would imagine he probably has a good hold on what's a big number and what's a small number.
Yeah. I feel like that's the equivalent of us saying, like, this is some wild shit, man.
America's red ink has now jumped by more than 75% during the Trump and Biden administrations. And yet the issue has been relegated to the back burners during the 2024 campaign season. So you're going to hear all sorts of commentary about Fed cuts, but they're going to be like, don't look at this. Don't look at this. This is a national debt problem. Don't look at that. You want to know why?
Why?
Not only that, the deficit hawks warn it's often been pushed aside in favor of ideas that could increase the debt further, i.e., the Inflation Reduction Act. Oh my God, Saied, I've got an amazing idea.
Bro, imagine.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to pass an act. We're going to get unanimous consent for this act, which is going to kind of fuck with inflation.
Right.
It's going to cause a little bit of near-term rises in inflation, which is not what Americans want.
Right.
But here's my idea.
Okay.
We're going to call it the Inflation Reduction Act because people are then going to vote for it because it makes them think like we're working in their favor. But if they read it, it doesn't.
I know, and the people that are reading it too are other Congress members, right? And you're like, come on, guys, like, what's going on here? Like, you're passing a bill that's literally going to cause more damage.
Okay, think about the kind of mindset.
That's like, you know what that is? It's like me coming to you, be like, Chris, Haroon, listen, I got this idea. It's called the Gain Followers for the Higher Standard Podcast Act. All right, but when you read it, it looks like I'm spending a lot of money on myself. But trust me, it's going to do wonders for the podcast.
Oh, your self-maintenance.
Yeah.
Your man escape routine.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
So it's a weird personality type that wants to be a politician. Okay. In my mind, you wanted to be famous, you wanted notoriety, you couldn't get it, so you now are lobbying for a job that doesn't pay very much money. And if you're lobbying for a job and spending millions of dollars that doesn't pay a lot of money to get it, that means you kind of have to be corrupt and a fame whore.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's not a good look.
It's a bad look.
Yeah.
So this is how we knew that we're going to get the 35 trillion a lot faster than we got the 34 trillion. And we're going to get the 36 trillion a lot faster than we got the 35 trillion. This is a real problem.
Yeah, no, huge problem.
The U.S. Congressional Office has already admitted that 10 years from now, this problem will be worse than it is today. They already know it's not going to go down. They've talked about it. It's laid out.
Yeah.
They don't plan on repaying this back.
No.
The last time we were operating in a surplus, 2001.
Wow.
Okay? That's how long ago it was since we last operated in a surplus. And why we know this problem is going to be a problem moving forward, right? Why do we end up in a deficit? Really simple. When you spend more than what you make.
Like the world's largest military budget?
Like the world's largest military budget. Exactly, right? And a lot of that money goes to Social Security and all these other things, right? Okay. So when you're spending more than you actually make and you have interest debt payments, here's the problem. The interest debt payments that we're currently paying, right? Those bonds, those treasuries, right? A lot of them were on 0% interest.
Mm-hmm.
We're paying those debt payments by now getting more debt at 5.5%. Here's the thing. The Federal Reserve, the same institution that controls all this, they buy our government debt too.
Yeah.
Right? And that's their way of injecting money into the system.
Yeah.
So it's like they're playing a major role in this.
And they fail their audits all the time.
All the time. Yeah. I don't know what happened to 800, billion?
Billions.
Yeah.
Billions just disappear.
We're not talking about millions.
The Pentagon has failed their like the last three.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh yeah, we don't really know what happened. If you were a publicly traded company and you came even close to that kind of material error, the world would come down on you. All sorts of SEC regulation violations. But if you're the Pentagon, you're like, we don't know what happened to it.
I know that, like, when some friends and family that I've actually spoken to this about, they go, you guys always talk about the U.S. national debt, why it's so crazy. And I like to explain it to them. The reason why I think a lot of people have a hard time understanding, because when you explain it to them, it sounds like
Stupid.
Stupid, and it's a Ponzi scheme. Like, wait, how is this working? It's like a house of cards that can all collapse.
I mean, you want to have this conversation. The entire government structure with taxes as we know it today is a Ponzi scheme.
yeah. And here's the really fucked
They
up
take
part.
almost 50% of my paycheck, dude, before everything else. Like,
Yeah.
I think my bonus checks are taxed 58%.
Wild.
58%, bro.
For what, bruv?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Dude, guy, bro.
I got him.
Bro.
Right? And you're just like, wait, the money that I earned, I got taxed on, and then when I go to buy stuff, I get taxed on that too. And then if I own a house, I got to pay annual taxes on that. Wait, what's going on here? This is getting kind of fucked up.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
It's really fucked up. Right?
You start if you go down the daisy chain of thinking about like what taxes are, you're like, I moved to a tax shelter like Texas. Dude, your property tax rate is 2.75% in Highland Park.
Yeah.
Okay, don't come at me with like, oh, it's cheaper to live here. It is, kinda.
Yeah. Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You're paying double the 1.16 tax you pay in California.
Right. And the scary part is, like, if this number scares you, the only way this goes away, right, is if the government somehow earns more money. Where do they make all their money?
You.
Taxes, motherfucker. Yeah. Like,
Wow.
so
Motherfucker.
no, it was like a Bernie. It was a
No, it came out like it was a hard
no, motherfucker.
No, it was
Was it?
Haroon, can you opine on this, please?
Yeah, I was like,
It was a hard R.
You went
Hard
hard
R.
at him.
You hard
No.
hard, bro.
No, motherfucker.
Yes,
I did not. It was an A. There was an A.
Hate
Yeah.
behind there.
There was an
There
A.
was. Yeah, there was anger.
Stop it. What we got, man?
Want to talk about
Yeah,
it?
Anyways, this part for me is really frustrating because it's like we're operating in a way that we know is not sustainable, and nobody really knows how it ends.
Oh, I know how it ends. We all move to Europe.
It just all goes up in flames.
Sweden, baby, here we go.
Yeah,
Ireland.
you know that house.
Ireland. What? Why? There's no weed brownies in Ireland.
Ireland's the shit. You went.
I look like a pothead.
You went.
Weed brownie. Huh?
Got me a brownie. Lost me at weed.
I never had one of those, but I can tell you, like
My
if
fucking
edibles are
ass.
anything like the hard candy that I tried that one time. 'cause
Never
somebody
had an
drugged
edible.
me.
Never had an edible.
Yeah, edibles are they'll catch you.
They'll get you. Like,
I told you my experience at the Louvre.
but how accurate is it? Like, if they say, I know it's in milligrams, right?
So the ones I take for like nighttime sleeping, they're like it's like 5 milligrams.
So I'm wondering, is it like someone's just injecting it, right? Like it would like
no,
like,
like those are
injecting it?
gummies.
Huh?
Those people aren't injecting it like
the
stabbing.
gummies.
it.
No, the gummies. You're
No.
injecting it with
No.
whatever.
No, man. It's
You make a
hardened.
bunch of gummies and you mix it in like you would sugar.
Yeah.
Okay, but so how accurate is it? Some of them got to be a little bit more potent than others.
You know, the
That
irony
makes-
is-
that's
is that
scarier.
I almost brought some in today.
I almost feel like if it was in you did not.
I almost brought some. Dude, I take one every other night or so. I take them all the time.
Really?
Sleeping is a huge part of your recovery.
You're gonna be caught driving with that shit?
No, you take it the night before you
No,
go
you're
to
gonna
bed
bring it
for
in-
5 milligrams.
You're gonna bring it in and be caught driving? It's not like
Oh, I don't get high off this stuff.
yeah.
No, I was gonna bring like
Look at me, I'm paranoid dad over here. Like you're
you
gonna get
weren't,
caught.
you weren't driving.
You're gonna get caught like driving with this shit?
You weren't driving anywhere tonight. He drives.
No, but you.
What about me?
You're allowed to just drive around with a bag full of gummies?
I've got autopilot. Take me home.
Tell that to officer.
Nah, I would have Ubered or something if I had to. I thought I'd bring something tonight because we talked about it. I want to see
No, we talked about the drink. You said the drink with was it THC?
THC drink. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the same 5 milligrams. It's
Is it?
nothing.
But
Yeah.
it's I feel like it's slow because you're slowly sipping on it.
Is this your
I'm
way-
so worried, bro. I'm very paranoid about this experience.
We got to do live. You'll be shocked at how much it won't do anything for you at all.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what everyone tells me.
It doesn't do anything for you. If anything, it just gives you like that.
We don't have to get into this article. I was going to try to find a way to weave it in, but this from Yahoo Finance. U.S. economy grows at a faster than expected pace in the second quarter, right? This was kind of shocking, right? It kind of lends itself to the idea that these high rates aren't really harming the economy.
They're not harming real estate values.
They're not harming real estate values, right? And
Well, dramatically.
so the expectation was that GDP was going to come in at 2%. It actually came in at 2.8%. And those are big time numbers. Those are big boy numbers, right? For a growing economy.
Yeah.
And it's kind of not what the Fed ideally would like to see if they were hoping to cut rates. They want to maybe get some ammo to think like,
I think if you would have seen this come down at like 1.4, 1.5%,
it would have been much better.
You probably would have seen a bigger rate cut probability for July.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's my best take on it.
Yeah. So I think that's why this probably came out, and I bet you Q3 will show some easing.
Yeah, I think Q4 will show a pretty palpable amount of easing as well.
Yeah.
Ease.
You like easing, huh?
Yeah, gentle.
Just one time.
Doc.
Doc. Always. Back to the docking with you.
I mean, I thought we established that docking and flowers were a very important part of the show.
Gotta dock all the flowers. You know what I did there? Let's go. Oh, dude, you got anything on the pop culture segment?
I do, but it's also an hour and 15. Let's just
So-
hit like 2-3 of them. All right. First one though, Saied, close your eyes.
Close my eyes?
Yeah.
And hold your hand out.
No, just open your mouth.
No.
Oh, that was
Look at
graphic.
there.
That got graphic real quick, bro.
Oh, fuck Haroon.
What a bad guy.
I mean, are you asking or inviting? What's the terms of which you're
Yeah,
talking
we're
about?
talking
right
about
now?
docking flowers.
Are we accepting?
Yeah.
Yeah, sold.
By the way, real quick,
Uh-oh.
if you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify, please head over and leave us an honest 5-star review. If this is over on YouTube, please make sure you smash that like button, ring that notification bell, do all the moist, goody good stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, we got to get it in there. Because, they don't do it unless we tell them to do it.
They don't really do it at all.
I know.
Actually.
We got to do it at the top of the show.
Yeah, you should.
All right, Odin.
All right. So, do you know who Victor Von Doom is?
Yeah, Dr.
I know
Doom,
you
brother.
do.
Oh,
I know
sorry.
you do.
Sorry.
Come on, man.
Oh, Dr. Doom, bro. Bruv. Victor Von Doom is his name?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I can put 2 and 2 together.
Dr. Doom.
Yeah.
You can do the last name of the doctor in front of it.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
All right.
Yeah, biscuits.
So part of Marvel, all that good stuff, right? So they had Comic-Con in San Diego this last weekend?
Victor Von Doom was the
Have you ever done-
antagonist in the Silver Surfer.
Fantastic Four.
Dude, for how
Fantastic
much you've
Four, yeah.
nerded out on all this stuff, I know you're like really deep into the comics. You know, like original storylines and all that shit.
Some of them, yeah, not all of them.
So have you ever done Comic-Con?
No, I would never in a million years.
Why? No, that's insulting.
Because I'm the kind of guy who would walk around making fun of everybody.
But you
Like,
you
I would go up
secretly
to-
enjoy it. But
I would go up to a guy in a
Hold
full
on.
like outfit and be like, "So let's be honest."
hold on,
friend.
but you respect it too, though. Come on.
No, I 100% respect the. Look, it's hard to get dressed and show out like that with no fucks given.
Why
and
are you
embrace
such an
your
asshole,
people.
bro?
I'm not,
You said, why would
I-
you make fun of anyone? This is,
because it's too easy.
bro.
It's you can't put a wolf in front of sheep and expect them not to eat.
Yeah,
Okay, like that's what I'm gonna do.
I know. But look, it's the passion in these fans that make it what it is.
Oh, 1,000%. But you don't have to do that dressed like an assless in chaps and shit. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to do that.
Bro,
Like, have you seen the way some of these people dress?
Oh, yeah.
No,
I
they
mean,
go.
some of them-
they
some
go
of them go
all out.
And there's a lot of sexual undertones in some of this stuff. You have to understand, like some of this anime stuff is like, okay, I'm having a great time, and some of it's like fetish porn.
It's almost you're like feeding into it.
And so
right?
if you're crossing over into the fetish porn world, you're gonna get jokes from me. Okay, and
You
it'll be
deserve it.
hard R's with all the jokes.
Oh wait, Odin, have you been to Comic-Con?
I went to the LA one last year.
Not the same as San
yeah,
Diego.
not
Yeah.
the same.
That's
But
like going
it was
to
actually pretty
going
cool.
to a Clipper game over a Laker game.
Yeah, they had the Boy Meets World crew there though, so that was pretty cool to see.
Why?
Bro,
Oh,
it's
dude,
just what
Comic Con
they
has
do,
everybody.
man.
It's not just
Just
they,
Well,
they
no-
do like a lot of like 80s vintage, like 90s. Like
They'll bring the whole cast
Yeah.
out and
they'll
ask
sign autographs, and there's
questions.
always some asshole who's like, "So did you ever fuck Topanga, bro?"
yeah,
Like this is
basically,
Valid
100%.
question though.
yeah. Oh, like and like Harrison Ford got asked some really like questions that pissed him off this year. They always ask him like, "Who would win in a fight? This person, that person?" And he's like, "I'm not asking these stupid ass
Because
questions."
they'll ask
I love
questions
that.
about Star Wars versus like
Yeah.
what he's in.
Star Wars versus X-Men, who would win, bro? And he's like, "What the?"
I don't know if they still do this, but that's what
Yeah.
kind of made like the UFC so great is when they like take questions from the fans.
Yeah, they still do it.
They still do that. Oh,
Yeah.
but they're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. You got some random fan talking shit to like Conor McGregor. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? In no world could you do this. Only here.
Yeah.
All right. So, anyways, the new Avengers movie is coming out in 2025 or 2026. I can't remember.
2026.
Yeah. So they brought out like the bad guy, and this is the presentation.
So it was supposed to be about Kang the Emperor, but that was Jonathan Majors' character, and Jonathan Majors got all the sexual assault stuff.
Canceled.
Yeah, canceled. So how were they going to save the franchise? It was supposed to be the Kang Dynasty movie, Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, and now they've effectively replaced the Kang Dynasty with this, where Robert Downey Jr. is now announced to be coming back to the franchise.
fucking
Stop
dick.
it.
Yeah.
You fucking dick. The whole purpose was
I know.
moved it to the side. So
Well,
he doesn't
you have a
see
picture of Robert Downey Jr. on the fucking screen.
I don't
bro.
even see him, bro.
That's not him. That was a fucking director. You fucking
Oh, I wear
loser.
glasses.
Wow. You got, bro, he's teed this whole thing up. You're so
I literally
insensitive.
told him, close your eyes.
You feel like a jackass right now. I can tell you do. You're quiet.
I feel bad. Sorry. I feel bad.
I was
My
gonna let
bad.
him see
Wait,
the whole, like,
I don't even know this. Let me see this. This is so cool.
where's the sound?
Where's the sound? Yeah.
You
gotta do it on the soundboard. Soundboard.
I have it.
Yeah.
Figures worldwide, then I think we're going to need the greatest actor in the world to play that character. Wow. Yeah, okay, ladies and gentlemen, as proof of the unimaginable possibilities in the Marvel multi-universe, we give you the one person who could play Victor Von Doom.
Let's go.
You gotta go Jared Leto.
That's so insulting. Look at him, bro. Stroking his ego, too.
So yeah, Robert Downey Jr. So when you think about it, in
cool.
it actually makes a lot
So
of
wait,
sense. When you think about it in the multiverse
Yeah,
context.
tell me. I gotta understand. I don't
So-
fully understand the multiverse, all that. So it's like, to me, it's like, how you got a storyline and it's supposed to end.
Well, look, it gives them infinite storylines, basically, is what it is. But essentially, what they can do now is they can say, okay, in one storyline, he became like the greatest hero known to man, the guy who saved the entire world. He became Iron Man.
Right.
But in another line, he could become a supervillain who's also has a lot of the same attributes as Tony Stark. He was very much into tech. He was a scientist, Dr. Von Doom, whatever. So, yeah, there's a lot of, I think, character parallels to what they can do here.
Wow, this is really cool. This is
Yeah,
really,
so
really
the whole
cool.
multiverse, exactly what Chris was saying, it just gives them opportunities to write different storylines and more comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't really kill anybody off permanently, per se.
Yeah.
Um,
Superman dies in one comic and then they go bring him from another universe and back to this one. Or
Which is
Yeah.
essentially what happened with Wolverine. That's how Wolverine got back in the world.
I can't believe they actually brought him back, though. I feel like maybe he should have been the one that doesn't come back.
Who?
Robert Downey Jr. That's
Well,
like Jordan coming back.
They're
to the,
offering
it's
him
like,
a rumored $80 million.
Bro, imagine when Jordan came back to the Wizards, you were like, don't do this.
He didn't get $80 million to do it. Robert Downey Jr. did.
Well, that was supposed to be Jordan's shoe in to get into ownership.
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure he's going to own Marvel by the time this is done.
Since we're talking about Jordans, I actually want to bring this up. I am not into kicks, and you guys already know this.
Stop.
Air Jordan 1 High OG Varsity Red coming soon.
Okay, so let me be clear about how important this shoe is.
Okay, let's go.
All right, so the bread shoe, okay, was a really important shoe for the Jordan. You have a picture of the Varsity Red, by the way?
Pull it up.
There you go. So the Varsity Red Air Jordan 1 is very similar to the Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it is slightly different. Arun, do you know why it's different? Okay. What were you going to say about why this shoe is important?
Oh, I wasn't. I was asking you guys because you guys are the stinkerheads.
Okay.
All right. So a little fun fact about Air Jordan 1s. There's Air Jordan 1 highs, which these are what they are. The mids, which
Mostly highs, mostly sought after.
highs most sought after. The lows are actually really in vogue right now, but nobody likes the mids. The mids are like the middle child. Nobody likes them.
But the lows don't have the resale value as the highs do.
Correct. The Chicago is a really, really important shoe. This one looks a lot like it. It's going to be very much purchased because it looks so similar to the Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
This colorway always crushes it, and it's an OG. The high OG is the original style. They actually have a way to improve. So if you've ever seen it, there's Zoom, the Air Jordan 1 High Zooms, which have like all the really cushy soles in them.
Oh, perfect. I'll sign me up.
You could literally play basketball in them. I
That's
wear them
why
to the gym all the time.
When I buy Chucks, I always get the Chuck 70s for the cushy soles.
Oh, these make those soles look like stiff.
So, Orun, have you seen the movie Air?
Fantastic movie, yeah.
Okay, so you understand, right, why even the Jordan ones became so popular?
Yeah, because it was the first time that they used team colors or colors on shoes, right? Because it was black
No,
and
so
white
there,
before.
they were supposed to have, I think, a certain percentage of the
That's
shoe
right, yeah.
had to be white, and then the other color had to be match your jersey.
Mhm.
But that shoe in particular had a lot of black in it, and if they did do that, they'd have to pay a fine every time you would wear it.
And
so it
Nike
was for
took
the
on
same reason.
fine, yeah.
For the same reason that like Stone Cold was, loved in the WWE, it was like the one going against the establishment, right? And it was like you were doing it even though they were gonna hit you with the fine. And Nike was so cool that they would pay the fine. Obviously, right? $5,000. Why not? And you got the best player in the game rocking them. And then I think for a long time they were like it crossed over into like skateboarding culture, right?
Oh yeah.
So like that also feeds into that culture of going up against the establishment, right? And really like the shoe of the people. And then that's what really kind of
I've got so many of them now. We have a moratorium on new acquisitions on new shoes in the house. I have literally boxes stacked everywhere.
God, your future closet is gonna be wild.
I can't afford a future closet.
You're gonna,
I got it all in shoes.
you're gonna do what you seen like those YouTube channels where they got just like the clear cases and
I can do a full wall right now easily.
yeah,
Of like all different colors. I don't even remember how. There are times I go through the boxes. I'm like, oh shit, I got these.
that's
I don't even
wild.
remember it. Yeah.
That's-
I found a pair of Reebok pumps in my closet the other day.
Oh, the OGs?
Yeah. They are fucking big. I forgot
They,
how.
they came out again recently.
Yeah, I got those too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those. Those were really popular. Those made their way back around a second time when I was in high school. Because I know the first time.
Don't do that.
I'm
Don't.
just being honest. Hold on. I'm just being honest. It was like a retro shoe when I was in high school. And they were really popular. I wanted them. I never got them.
You're a terrible human being.
I am.
All right, Arun, you're going to do this, aren't you? Yeah, you are. There it is.
What is this?
This is the reason why I'm not watching the Olympics.
I thought you watched it, Said.
I don't know anything about this.
You've been watching the Olympics every day? You didn't hear about this, really?
No, I
Opening
just
ceremony.
in passing, bro. When it's on the TV, I'll check it out. Yeah.
So the opening ceremony featured Da Vinci's Last Supper, but unfortunately, it wasn't done in the artistic, traditional way. It was done with various Christian groups condemned the performance online as declaring it as shocking and a mockery of Christianity. There was all sorts of LGBTQ plus reference individuals. There was a very interesting person as a centerpiece.
But what they really called it the Last Supper, or what's going on? I
Well,
really don't
if you
understand.
look at the picture here, and if those of you can't driving and listening or in the gym, you can't see this, but the Last Supper compares very much to the colors that people are wearing and the seating position in the scene. Unfortunately, there's a lot of gender identity issues mixed into it,
Oh.
and I think people found it very highly inflammatory. It was all over the Twitter sphere and X, and it was very much news for everybody the next morning. Some part of me was like, okay, well, this is part of the sensationalism they wanted. It's French culture, so they're in for a little bit of the shocking, and sexuality is a very different concept in Europe than in the United States. But this was a bit of an extreme to mix it with religion like that. I don't know that. I think the mixing with the Last Supper in particular was probably that's probably the part that pushed over the top.
I think it was the French newspaper comic section too that also drew a picture of the Prophet Muhammad, right? And that they got a lot of backlash for that too back in the day.
So.
I think it was, yeah. So they really like to push the envelope a little bit.
I like to push the envelope.
You be pushing envelopes, bro.
I like to push them.
What do you like to push them to?
Gooning.
What? Gooning.
The what the hell is that?
Yeah, news that drew the cartoon, right?
Swedish.
Yeah, who drew do the second one? Who drew the cartoon? I don't know.
You know you're supposed to be articulating the audience what you're looking at.
Yeah, that was your job.
Oh,
You're the articulate one.
I didn't know what you're looking at. I can't see. It's behind the camera again.
Again. Our last one. This is amazing. By the
Oh,
way,
yeah.
have you actually taken any time other than just watching highlights to watch this guy play?
Wembanyama?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very talented.
This guy is gonna be like it's just unfair.
He has probably one of the most fluid handles on a big man I've ever seen.
He's
like,
got the
he-
ball on the string.
He can literally dribble and play like a point guard. It does look weird at his height and like length.
Yeah.
But he can handle it. I
So
mean,
this
It
picture
looks like he's just going to hurt himself soon.
went
Yeah.
viral today. They were playing Japan. I think it went into overtime.
yeah,
They bet-
he's 5'6".
Yeah, the guy who's guarding him is 5'6" from Japan, and Victor he comes up to his waistline.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he is hunched over.
Victor's
mean,
7'3".
The angle isn't the best angle for him, but I mean, yeah, this is crazy. This guy's gonna be fun to watch. Hopefully for the next 20 years.
Do me a favor, Arun. See if you can Google a picture of Andrew Schultz and Joe Rogan. I saw this, and I hope hopefully it comes up.
The one. What do you mean? When they're posing after a podcast episode?
Yeah, see, go to images. Yeah, the bottom, the left one there, the second one. There you go, that one right there. So
They have
Schultz
fucking-
is 6'2", I want to say, and
Oh.
Rogan is 5'8".
Dude, I've been at the LA Comedy Store,
Yeah.
and he's literally walked right by our table.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, he's as thick as he is wide. Like his
Who, Rogan?
I
Yeah.
mean,
He's a big boy.
as jacked as you think he is, now double it. Okay, like he literally can't get through some doors because he's so jacked. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's impressive, right? And he walked right by me, and my initial reaction was because he was wearing one of those.
So, Haroon, the bottom left of this page, go click on that photo, though.
No, that's fake.
Yeah, that's the one that I originally saw.
That's fake. No, that's
So here's the beauty of the
that's
internet.
fake, bro.
Is somebody literally decided they were going to make a hyper-realistic looking replica of the same photo, but shrink Joe Rogan to Schultz's shoulder. And I mean, look at the picture. If you, I literally scrolled by this on X, and I went down the rabbit hole of trying to figure out his height.
Yeah.
'Cause I mean, there's no way this could be real.
Yeah.
Look how real that looks.
That's crazy.
If you're Joe Rogan, you're like, why? What did I do to you?
I respect the show so much more for being like as big as he is, and he's still rocking the Chuck 70s. Love it.
What did you think he was going to
Staying
wear?
true to himself. I mean, bro, he's a big time basketball sneakerhead. I mean,
Schultz
he's
is?
into basketball culture, and he's got a lot. Yeah, he's huge.
Yeah, but he also has a different like athletic style. I mean, he dresses differently.
And he plays ball.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, there's a famous video where he played Jason Williams 1-on-1, and he beat him.
Stop.
Yeah, he beat him. But he was spotted 6 points, and it was 1st to 7.
Okay.
And he made some bullshit like drive to the basket like hook shot, and then he was like flexing on him. It was the best.
It's the kind of shit that I would do if I still played basketball, but
Yeah.
I don't.
Chris, who's Jason Williams?
Well, there's the white guy who was a point guard,
Yeah,
Okay.
not white
And-
chocolate.
and there's the other guy who was a tall African American gentleman.
He was a point guard at a Duke.
Well, he's tall though. How tall is he?
No, he's like 5'11". No,
No, I think he's over 6 foot, dude.
I
'Cause he
don't
was
know,
taller
man.
than the other Jason.
If he's
Williams.
listed as 6'1", you know he's 5'11". Come on, Odin, you gotta pull this up. This is how we're gonna wrap up this show.
I'm pretty. Jay Williams. How tall is he? 6'2". Yeah, there you go, bro.
5'11", dog. Come on, can't fool me. I know five. I know when you're in the 5 foot club, bro. I can see it in your
6 foot. I
stature.
mean, yeah, he's.
They also said Michael Beasley was like.
How
6'11".
tall is
They
the other-
also said Allen Iverson was 6 feet.
How tall is the other Jason Williams?
Probably the same. He's a stud.
His handle was incredible.
Yeah.
That is not him. American former basketball player.
No, not that guy. Not the guy that went to prison.
There's been a lot of Jason Williams. That's him in the video, unfortunately.
Just type in Jason Williams white chocolate.
Kid.
You said Kings.
Racially motivated.
48 years old. A 6'1".
Go to the Wikipedia page.
So he's
6'1".
5'11". Yeah, 5'11". This guy's a stud. He made a podcast round not too long ago. He was on Everywhere, and I actually watched the one where he was on Flagrant. He is like wildly entertaining. His basketball stories are like everything you can imagine and some.
I think because he was such an anomaly back then with everything that he did, like he was just ingratiated into the culture.
Oh yeah, he was just do yourself a favor, and if you're into basketball, check that out. He tells some really good stories. He still plays like pickleball, and he has like a group of guys that he like plays with, and they all in, and they obviously are really good and they know basketball really well, so they do some like fucked up things. Well, they'll do like in the middle of a game, if they're just blowing a team out by like 50, and if like you're talking shit back to them, they just call. He says code blue, and then when they inbound the ball, they just like keep scoring on the other team's basket for them, just to bring them back, just to fuck with them again. It's really fucked up. I love it. I love how sick-minded he is.
I'm so glad that I stopped playing when I did because
Why?
I don't.
You had fun. You had fun when
I
you
had
played.
tons of fun.
Yeah.
But I like to remember it in that context and not in the context that I would play today because I would be horrible today.
Or I mean, you don't think if obviously the reason why we don't play is the risk of injury,
Mhm.
right? But you don't see a world where you could enjoy playing, like not get overly competitive.
No.
That competitive. Can't you
Yeah.
just enjoy playing a game?
Oh, you're the same way.
No, not anymore.
No, you are.
Not anymore.
That's not
No, if
true.
one guy says one thing the wrong way, then yeah, I'll risk blowing my Achilles. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll take it there.
If I played against you, you would be hyper competitive.
I would, yeah, I know. I would use it to my advantage to like, you're gonna get injured playing me, so be careful.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. That's exactly the reason
Yeah,
why I
box-
won't do it anymore.
Boxing you out at your knees.
Yeah. I'm not. This
Don't-
is precisely the reason why I
Don't
don't
even
play.
think about getting this rebound, Chris.
No desire to do it. I'm the guy who would love to go in, dribble the basketball, and watch a bunch of other people play.
And you're the guy too. Like, this is like there's rules to this. If there's 9 guys and they ask you like, hey, we need one, you're like,
I won't do it.
No,
I've literally said no.
You're that honestly, you should be banned from
I've
like
literally
every
said
gym.
I was shooting around Equinox like on a Saturday I did this for cardio warm up instead of like my normal warm up. I was dribbling the ball, doing some drills, and some guys come over to me like, "Hey man, we need one for a 5-on-5. Can you play?" And I'm like, "Nope."
That's a cardinal
And
sin.
he's like, "Bro, there's nobody else here." And I'm like, "I know."
That's a cardinal sin. Honestly, you don't have the discipline just to run 3-point to 3-point.
It wasn't even that. It's just these guys are assholes.
Bro, you don't do
Bro,
anything.
By them coming and asking you, hey, do you mind?
No.
doing this?"
So I literally some guy broke his ankle that game.
Stop it, bro.
No, they did. Like
You hung
I
around.
wasn't.
That's why they
I
needed
wasn't in
one?
the gym. I went to go lift weights, and then I came back a couple minutes later, and he was literally with an ice pack and 2 people taking an incident report on one of the stretching like tables. And I'm sitting there like, what happened? He goes, oh, I was just boxing some guy out, and I think I tweaked my ankle. I looked at it under the ice pack, and I'm like, that's broken, dude.
So the last 2 days, I've been at a basketball camp. I'm so envious of these kids. So Adam was running right up and down
Which
the
you
court.
can't do anymore.
I can't do anymore. Not the way they do, right? And these guys, it's from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's intense.
I did that. I'll do that one day, and I'm dead.
Honestly, no. Wait till you hear this part. Adam's trotting back, right, and he made like a minor mistake on the other end that he didn't know about, and it's more of like a spacing issue. And I was just like, Adam, make sure you gotta space the floor. And he's like trotting back, and he looks at me, and at the same moment when he looks at me, he tweaks his ankle. So I feel like shit. I'm like, why am I even
Raising
opening?
it right back up.
Why am I even opening my mouth, bro?
He's a kid.
He
you know,
tweaked
man.
his ankle. It was bad. I saw it. The whole ankle rolled, right? Didn't come out. Didn't complain. Played the whole day. Woke up this morning. Nothing wrong. Played again tomorrow. I'm like,
Yeah.
I am so jealous.
He's on
I would
BBC
be out-
157.
He's on Transcend. Bro, I would be out 2 months.
Yeah, I know. Dude, I know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go out. Like, I'm not doing that.
I literally, when he walked over to me after and he drank water, I literally told him, I'm so jealous of you. I'm jealous.
I don't have that in me anymore, bro. Like, you can cold plunge all day long. That ain't going to help.
That's not going to help. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Arun, you got anything?
Nope.
Christopher,
I got all the things.
you always be having the things.
All right. Can we do this? Can we do the proper exit this time?
Okay, bruv. Good night, everybody.
Goodbye. Bruv.
Bruv, we're out.